Network, and Budweiser is proud to be part of that team. This Bud's for you.
These Pan American Games are assured a place in the history of amateur sports, not for the records that have been set, but rather as the beginning of a new era in policing drug abuse at international competitions. Now, just to recap the latest developments from this morning. Juan Nunez of the Dominican Republic forfeits his silver medal in the 100-meter dash. The Cuban fencing team must return its gold medal for épée. And shot putter Juan de la Cruz, also of the Dominican Republic, was censured for using excessive stimulants. Now, in all, 23 medals have been forfeited, including 11 golds. Now, the story broke on Monday afternoon when word spread in the athletes' village that the new laboratory equipment here was the most sensitive ever used. Tuesday morning, a dozen American athletes, almost all of whom compete in the field events, beat a hasty retreat to the United States, only hours before their competitions were scheduled to get underway in Caracas.
From sitting over the cafeteria area, we heard one guy tell his response about they were able to detect from the date and the time that he had took the medication. And some of our U.S. men heard about it, and they just left the country.
But for others, it was too late. Jeffrey Michaels of Chicago lost not only 3 gold medals, but his Olympic eligibility for next year.
We were not forewarned, nor were our doctors, of the extent of this testing until we were done in Venezuela.
They knew, but they were non-believers.
It's cheating, this whole drug business, and it's being, it's pretty widespread abuse.
It's illegal to purchase anabolic steroids in the United States without a prescription, but there is a huge black market for the drug. Now, most athletes take them in capsule form, but here in Venezuela, for $1.50 American, we were able to purchase over-the-counter this liquid steroid and this syringe, and some athletes do inject themselves with the steroid in this manner. Athletes in weight or power-related events have long been suspected of using steroids. There is speculation here that some, such as Cuban shot putter Paul Ruiz, may have fouled out intentionally to avoid urinalysis detection of steroids. And this is sprinter Lisa Hopkins of Los Angeles. Her case is even more mysterious. Running here in the lane furthest from the camera, she finished second in the semifinals of the 100-meter dash. And immediately after the race was over, she said she liked her chances for a medal in the finals.
Like I said before, the beginning of my race was pretty slow, and I think I can correct that in the finals. That's the only thing I can see that was wrong with it.
But Lisa Hopkins in lane 3 was conspicuous by her absence. A recurrent groin injury, she said, kept her out of the race. But several sources told me that a coach in Los Angeles had put her on a training program which included using steroids. Chuck Davis, do you know him?
Yes, he's my coach in Los Angeles.
Did he make a telephone call to you and ask you not to compete?
No. As far as I'm concerned, Chuck is in Europe somewhere. I haven't talked to him for the last 3 months.
Lisa, at any time, has Chuck Davis encouraged you to use steroids as a competitor?
No.
Until now, simpler urinalysis tests could be beaten because illegal drugs, such as steroids, were easy to mask, but not anymore. Not since this sensitive new screening device from West Germany has developed the capacity to measure and document the biochemistry of an individual athlete's body. And sports officials now must decide the allowable limits of the drugs.
Each individual clears these drugs at a different rate. It's possible with this machine, however, to detect if you've taken anabolic steroids at any point in your life. It's so sensitive and can be calibrated so finely that the residual of these drugs can be detected for years and years.
Under the calibration that we've used, when should he get off the steroids now to make sure that when he comes to Los Angeles, there's no problem when you test? What would your advice be?
Listen, it is not my task to give advice for doping and to stop unlegal or forbidden medicamentation. But I can tell you that anybody who was on anabolic steroids here and stopped, he will not be positive 84 in Los Angeles.
For years, American athletes insisted they took drugs only to maintain parity with the Eastern Europeans who had pioneered their usage. But Cliff Wiley claims Americans have sinned just as much.
Amongst the elite athletes, quite a few of them do use drugs internationally. And in the United States, we've been throwing rocks. The U.S. lives in a glass house, and we've been throwing rocks. I think that Once we begin to crack down in our country, then we can put pressure on the rest of the world to also crack down. We can't throw rocks. We're living in a glass house.
Now, this crackdown on drug abuse here has, by and large, been accepted as a welcome development. Doctors have said that steroids have dangerous long-range health hazards, especially for women. The athletes themselves have expressed relief that they'll now be able to compete cleanly in future competitions. But it's still up to the organizers of these events to follow through and maintain these tough new anti-drug standards. Next up, our unbeaten men's basketball team. And we'll send you out to the Poliedro after these messages from your local stations.
All my life, I've dreamed of the day